Alright, dear brothers and sisters, we continue to answering Korra and our Muslim friends, clarifying their misconceptions about the faith, and cleaning up by doing so after the victims, the cult members that they decimate in the West, especially in America, the doglogics of the world, the orthobros of the world, the Loftonites of the world, the Gordonites of the world, all the Aristotelian pagans, the Aristotelian pagan like this Chris, this Wagner, you know who was named that, but never mind now. So all those grifters who take money for the channels and preach heresy, modalism, partialism, and so on, and lie about our scriptures, and a total mess, embarrassing, okay, like the two who were decimated last night, okay. So we continue to cleaning up after them and clarifying to you Muslims that your whole claims are totally false about our faith. Now, you claimed about the body of Christos yesterday, Libiano, that the Romans always left the crucified body on the cross, and then after that they buried it in a common grave, not in a tomb. Well, the Gospels tells you what happened, that they were hurried before the Sabbath came, because the Jews didn't want, the Jewish law didn't allow the practice of the Romans in their territory to be practiced like that. So they compromised with them, and the holy Josephus of Arimathea, he paid for the body, and they removed the body and put it in a tomb. That's all. Okay? He asked it from Pontius Pilatus. Okay? So this is about this point. Very foolish thing to claim, to argue from. And what else did you make points that I wanted to touch about? You claim about the Greek word morphe, form, okay? Now, Saint Hieronymus also talks about this word. You think you got something new? The saints already dealt with all those issues, all those Greek words, everything. They were the fake scholars that you have today. They are nothing. They're like this, like a grain of sand, not even that, compared to the Father's knowledge and scholarship, not to mention the divine, that they are under the Spirit, not the worldly speculations like they do. Yes? So, he talks about that word, which means it is, first of all, it's a general. It can also be translated to outward form and things like that. But like Saint Athanasius of Alexandria and Gregorius, the Cappadocian father of Nyssa, argue that you cannot separate that form from the essence, as you claim, okay? In this context. Because it wasn't like he took upon himself, he took a role of a slave, but the very essence of man. The Logos became truly man also, okay? So it wasn't like a costume that he took and can take off and all that, like a costume, I mean. It was a true nature, we assume. So in this, and Saint Hieronymus and translate that word to forma, the same basic word, like in English, it stayed the same form, okay? Forma in Roman Latin, He translated it in the infallible Vulgata. And because in this context it means this, okay? It is a general for many kinds of forms of the meaning of the word. It also means this, and if the Father tells you in this case it is actual form, meaning the essence of God, okay? That he was originally and assumed a human nature, the Son of God. So that's what it means in that context. That's all. And you can't claim otherwise. You cannot prove that it's not. Because our paradigm is, as I say over and over, and I'll keep saying it because it's very important to understand, because the Westerners don't have this paradigm because they deviated from the traditional faith. The church fathers, the saints, are writing under the spirits as the heirs of the apostles, bearers of oral tradition, class of interpreters, divine interpreters. Okay? So they are inspired. And you can't prove otherwise. Now, what else? So since, to summarize it, what they teach, since Christos was in the form of God, of El, yes, divine, inherently, in his nature, as the Logos of Yehovah the Father, he is truly God, and since he assumed the form of a slave, he is truly human as well after the union, the hypostatic union. Yes? Now, okay, so let's move to the next point. And now, it is Korra yesterday, again, she continues to butcher the Hebrew text of the law of Moses, of the Torah, and she misquotes again and again, not only taking it out of context, but doesn't know what words in the text mean, and she translated to mean a different thing. Well, Korra, you said so yourself, to know the actual, what the text actually said, you need to know the Hebrew or the Arabic, whatever the text is. You said so yourself. This is your claim. This is your position. Okay? We don't say that. You don't have to learn the Hebrew, just the Hebrew, the Greek, but you have to follow those to the tittle. It is harder, better to learn, yes, one of the original languages, either the original Hebrew or the original languages of the translation. But you also can rely on the holy old English that was created for them, for the Germanics, as the old Germanics. I'm not familiar in their culture. It's you Latins, you are the ones who should be know more about that. But in our case, the Eastern languages, for example, the Aramaic, the Russian, of course, the Slavonic, yes, which is based on the Greek, made as Holy Church language, yes, and so on. It is also great, but not the modern English and all that. This is garbage. This is gonna get you only to heresy, because you wouldn't understand anything that's written, and you wouldn't understand your own religion, and it will lead also to apostasy. And this is what it does in the West too, by the way, on top of the modalist heresies and all that. Oh yes, it also connected partly because of misunderstanding what texts say and the works of the saints. Now, she appealed to this verse to apparently, allegedly show that our God is not just or instituted something that is immoral, just because there are Westerners Islamophobes who claim it about your faith. We don't claim it about our faith. We have no problem with the child marriage. It is in our faith too, or severe laws. Was and is also partly in our law, although after Christos, the Mosaic law was modified, as I said to the Gentiles, with Christ's second coming as representing the Father's second chance, second grace to men, softening many laws, and only by last resort we will go to the severe law in cases, but we give more chances to repent and to learn from the mistakes, okay? To pay the price in a different way, not necessarily death and so on. So, look at this law. She appealed to this. It is Deuteronomy, the Barim, yes, of Moses, 25:11. Okay, so let's go to the verse. Go straight to the Hebrew and see what it says. Ki natsu anashim yahdav ish ve'ahiv ve'karba eshes ha'ehad lehatzil et isha miyad makehu ve'shalha yada ve'hezika bim shav. Okay, so what does it say in the English? Let's see if this translation is sufficient enough for now. When men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smitheth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by his by the it says secrets. Secrets is not a good word. It means taking him by his shameful private parts. Okay, that's what it says. So, how did Korra and Libiano translated it? They translated it that if the wife draweth near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smitten him, and by accident, they say, she reached for his private parts. This is a lie. The text doesn't say by accident. It says on purpose. Now, how the holy monks, the holy sons of the church later on, because this specific, they talk in general about those kind of verses, the church fathers and early saints, but this specific verse, it's in the works that were lost of them, because we don't have available explicitly this verse from the fathers. Okay, so let's see what the heirs, the sons of the church, the holy clergy, the holy monks, the priests, let's see what they say, both from the Latin perspective of the Latin church and from our perspective who follow the Russian church from the east. Okay? Now, this is what the Latin saint, okay, the Yeshuit, the Jesuit, as you say in English, I think, Jesuit, yes? The Jesuit monk was a holy man, yes? And he is called Cornelius de Lapide, okay? And this is, I quote him, what he explains specifically about this verse, and how it is moral, and how it is perfectly just, and not, as you claim, arguing as liberals. Arguing as liberals, as feminists, I don't understand what are we doing here? What's going on? Okay? So, thank God, Slava Bogu, that our faith is not feminist and liberal, okay? And like that embarrassing couple that you debated against, that he said that our faith is what brought that movement of Me Too movement and all that garbage, the filthiness of the filth, all those secularist LGBT liberal trash. He attributed it to our faith. Blasphemer. And what an embarrassment. Again, it's unbelievable. Now, the holy Jesuit monk, he says, quote, "Why must the hand of a woman who grabs another's private parts be cut off?" he asks. "The first reason is because she has committed a remarkable injury not only to the men, but to nature and the modesty of her own sex." You see, to teach the women that when they attempt to save their husbands, but not to do something like that, immodest and filthy like this, okay? They don't have to do this to save their husband. Or you want to claim that in order to save a husband in cases she must do that. No, she doesn't. Okay? So this is one aspect. He explains. Injury not only to the man, but to the nature and the modesty of her own sex, which ought to shine brightest, exactly because she's a woman, in woman, to shine brightest in a woman. The second reason he gives, because there was a danger that she might strip the men of generation and seed. So punishing the man bloodline continuation of bringing children. Okay, the children are not to blame for his conduct. Okay, and who said he was to blame anyway? Okay. In fighting her husband. Her husband could be the evil one. He doesn't say that the woman and her husband was innocent. That's exactly what he doesn't say, because the focus is not on that. It's about this modesty issue and the injuring of the ability to have children, to continue his dynasty, the bloodline of the man, which are not to blame. As you said so yourself correctly, the sons are not blamed for the sins of their fathers. The second reason is because there was a danger that she might strip the man of generation and seed, whence his posterity would perish, which is, as it were, a certain homicide of the human race. Okay? So, man has no... as the commandment, one of the 10 declaration of Moses, thou shalt not murder, not kill in battles, murder on intention, wicked killing, okay? So this would be like a homicide of a whole generation. So the next one is from our people, our Eastern, Russian, it is, he explained this verse exactly, again. It is the Holy Alexander Pavlovich Lapukhin, Lapukhin. It is from 1800s to 1900s. He lived. What did he teaches about it? He says that this law, based on the principle of lex talionis, retribution, like eye for an eye, okay? And this is in your tradition, in Arabia, your tradition always, when the punishment for a thief, you cut his hands, because this is the organ that made the action, okay? This is what the principle means, the instrument of a crime. It links the action to the principle in Deuteronomy 19:21, emphasizing that the physical punishment is appropriate when a limb is used in such disgraceful manner, okay? And also, like the other holy monk, the Latin one, teaches also the protection of posterity, again. And rejection, this is another rejection of intent as defense, you see. So his analysis stresses that regardless of the woman's motive to aid her husband, the chosen method, as the saints also explained before, the other saint, was immoral, violating, and dangerous, okay? So we will continue tomorrow, I think, in the next days. It's been too long already. 2 parts we made. This is the second one. Watch the first part for today. 37, 38, I think. And we will see you soon. And for refuting all of the points that the false rabbi made and teaches it to Muslims, and the misconception of our Muslim friends. And so we will see you soon. God bless, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God bless.